Hey everybody, welcome to Northern Thailand and welcome to Worm Bin Weekends Week 11. Back in the US, you guys are celebrating Thanksgiving. I hope you've had a wonderful weekend with your friends and family. Unfortunately, I'm not afforded those luxuries here in Southeast Asia, so I ate some chicken and rice instead. But that didn't matter. I had a chance to celebrate with some friends and it was really fun. But now it's time to get down to business. I'll tell you what, after week 10, for the first time in this video series, all three of our bins look the same. From bin 1 to bin 2 to bin 3, every single one of them had beautiful looking castings. Only a very little amount of bedding from the leaves, and the majority of the food that was in there had been consumed. So everybody's looking really, really good. So much so that what's going to happen now is we are going to get ready to start taking the lids off of these guys to dry things out very slowly and do one last check-in and feeding for the worms so that we can go ahead and make sure that they've got enough nutrient to go ahead and do their thing, let some of the castings dry out, and still maintain a really healthy, happy environment for them to continue to do their thing with. So with all that said, let's go take a look. All right, week 11, bin 1. Now, I can already tell after I took the bin out of the water tub, there were some fruit flies that were flying around the bin. So I don't know how things look. It's been a little over 10 days. I'm filming this real time now for once instead of being a week behind or a week ahead, however you want to look at it. Let's just dig in and see what we got. Okay, yep, fruit flies. Okay, so I don't know, I'm hoping the video this time is a little more clear. Last, on week 10, it was really bad. We definitely got some fruit flies in here. And there's a lot of condensation on the lid. That's okay. All right. Got one fill up here on the top of the lid. It's okay. The leaf cover looks to stay pretty well intact. Things are looking pretty wet as they were last week when we checked. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of moisture in here. Now, you're probably thinking, okay, so why don't you add some bedding? No more bedding is going in at this point. Whatever bedding is in here in the way of the leaf materials is going to be used to just go ahead and take care of the remaining feeding that I'm putting in this week, and then that will be it. There's going to be no more bedding put in here because we want to dry these castings out. In fact, that's one of the things we're going to do in this check-in. Looks like it's from banana. Let's take a look. Ooh, we got food. They did not eat. What do you know? Huh. It's not like the worms aren't here. They're right here in the center, but they did not eat. Now, last week we put in a little bit of rice, a cucumber, and these various bananas. This is the cucumber. I thought it was a banana at first. That's the cucumber. They didn't even touch it. And the bananas, they normally, well, you know what? I didn't pop these open, did I? Okay, this is what happened. I put all the foods in whole last time to try to lessen the moisture here because things were so wet, and it is very wet in here. Holy cow, is it wet? Okay, that's all right. That's okay. Boy, bin 1's gonna have a lot of food. And for the first time, honestly, for the very first time since I started this bin, there is a little bit of a smell, which would make sense because the foods are still in here in their whole form. So, boy, they've got a lot of food that they're going to be receiving this week too. Okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to put the foods off to the side for right now. We're going to kind of fluff things up a bit. I'm going to separate the leaf materials away as well. Boy, we got a lot of fruit flies in here. I'm sure you guys can see them. They're flying around like crazy. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to squeeze some of this stuff apart for this final feeding. Boy, look how wet it is. Holy cow. Now, I don't mind it being wet like this, and I'm going to show you why right now. Yeah, the worms are in here, but it's really wet, and it forces them to have to really push through these materials. But one of the consequences of that is you wind up with a lot healthier worms. The drier the bin, the smaller the worm. So I don't mind it being wet, but I don't want it going anaerobic. So mixing it at this point is a really important thing that needs to be done. Yeah, it is really wet. Okay, so let me see. The smell is slight. It's not overwhelming or overpowering. It's not like I'm being knocked back by it. But there definitely is a muddier smell to this bin than I would like to have an issue. I mean, this is just, yeah, look at that. That's mud, you guys. That's mud. So, all right, let's do this. We're going to, I'm so tempted to put bedding in right now, but I don't want to, only because I want to start to dry this stuff out. This needs to be dried out. So that's what we're going to do. The lid is coming off of bin 1. It's coming off all of them, but it's definitely coming off of bin 1. We are going to set up the feeding area to put these foods back in addition to the other foods. Now, I'm taking a bit of a risk here by doing this because the bin is going to be loaded full of food, but this is the final feeding. That was the plan. It was the final feeding so that they had a little bit of nutrient to go through and then start foraging around. Well, they're gonna have plenty of food. This bin is probably gonna take a lot longer than the others. And man, for the first time, I've got fruit flies galore in here. So it's okay though. This is again, it's important to see successes and failures. And I don't really consider this a failure, to be honest with you. It just, yeah, it's obviously very wet. But the population seems okay. I mean, they're in here. I'm sure they're not liking it as much as they would if it was like more balanced. But we're gonna take care of that. So, yeah, this is really muddy stuff. Really wet, really muddy. So we're going to take the lid off. We're gonna give it one last feeding. We're gonna take the lid off. We'll utilize whatever bedding is in here as far as any leaf material goes to kind of set the food area up with. But yeah, we gotta definitely take the lid off this tonight. So that's what's gonna be happening. All right, so we got plenty of material here to cover the food with, which is why I'm kind of gathering it up like this. Let's get it back in along with as much leaf material as I can find. And we'll put the other foods in as well. What I may do is let's go ahead and do that first. I'm gonna get the newer stuff put in. I'm gonna put the rotten stuff on top of it. I'm gonna squish it up really good, and then I'm gonna cover it with these very muddy castings. Okay, so let me see how we want to feed them. Give me just a second here, gang. Piece of leaf lettuce, piece of brown paper. One egg, 2 eggs. Nasty. We got a whole bunch of banana peels, and in fact, I've even got a mango pit that I was going to put in here, and I think, given the state of affairs here, I'm going to give all this to bin 1. Banana peels will, I think, I don't know this for a fact, but I think they'll probably help with some of what I've got going on here. We shall see. I'm not even going to give it any of the bananas that I was getting ready to give to this bin, but I am going to give it some rice, and I am especially going to give it some powderized, crushed up, toasted eggshell and compost that I've mixed together. That's definitely going to be a must at this point. So let me get this nasty stuff kind of squished up a bit. For those of you that are kind of squeamish to things like this, my apologies. I just wasn't anticipating having to do this on camera, but cucumbers even kind of squishy at this point, but the bananas definitely are. So there's that nice mess. I'm even going to hold off on the rice that I was going to put in here. At this point, I think it's just appropriate to this as it is. Yeah, I think that's what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna leave it as it is. I'm gonna give it a little bit more brown paper, very little, and then just, we're gonna cover it up with this muddy casting material and take the lid off and let them do their thing. It'll help things balance out. They'll be a lot happier in a couple days. You know, the thing of it is when I consider how far this bin has come, this has always been kind of the hero, but I'm speaking in terms of all three of the bins at this point. I mean, we're on week 11. We're gonna finish this series up next week so that I can actually do one of my normal gardening videos with the castings. These are obviously very muddy, so we're going to do what we can just to kind of balance things out here again. But sorry for my rambling. That right there has been one though. That's the final feeding, and now what's going to happen is the lid is going to rest on it like that. No, not that side, but like that. That'll help the sides dry out. The moisture will still hit the lid and drop back down. But that's a slow way of drying the bin out instead of trying to go to the opposite extreme and do it all at once. That could also cause problems at this point as well, but this is extremely wet. It's very muddy. And I just wanted to make sure that it hadn't completely gone anaerobic, which it doesn't appear that it has. I saw enough worms in here that I'm not concerned that the population has been compromised. And so we're just gonna leave these lids off at this point and allow this thing to dry out. Oh, wait a minute. I forgot something. Gotta amend this really quick. I almost forgot. This is the compost and the eggshell. This is gonna be very, very necessary for this. So I know that we were just ending the video, but this has got to go in there. It absolutely has to. At this point, it's got to. Things started to really get a lot better after I added this in bin 3, and actually, if I'm not mistaken, I did this one other time for all 3 bins, and the next week things were looking a lot better. So that's gonna be an important part of this final meal for them, just to kind of get things back into a better place. That's that. So that has been one, and I want to thank you guys for joining me. If you haven't already, please do like and share this video. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and hit the bell notification icon if you would, so you can be alerted to when I upload new content. Wherever you are in this world today or tonight, you take care. Bye for now. Man, you ought to see all the fruit flies on the side of my bin over here. Holy smokes, I can't even count.